Can I turn to the question of children? And first of all, commend you on the age-appropriate design code, which I think is a fantastic part of your legacy. And I remember when it came out thinking, my God, this is amazing. So just, I mean, some of the highlights. In 12, the children profiling should be off by default. In 8, platforms should collect and retain only the minimum amount of personal data they need for the elements of the service the user is actively and knowingly engaged in. 12 for children, settings should be high privacy by default in 7. And perhaps the most important of all, either establish age with an appropriate level of certainty or apply these standards to all users. Does it feel to you like that is happening?
I think the age-appropriate design code is world leading. It's going down in a direction of influencing the design of services that are expecting to be used by children. And I think it goes to the problem that you must hear from your constituents, which is that the internet wasn't designed for children, and the internet needs to take account of children's specific needs. So we're proud of the age-appropriate design code. There are jurisdictions around the world, including California, Mexico, Australia, that are looking at the UK's code. The code doesn't come into force until September of 2021. So Parliament—
But it's in progress now, right?
Yes,
Since September gone. So my question is not, is it a great code? I think it's a great code. My question is it happening? Do you feel like it's happening?
I feel like we've had impact in the design of services. Last February, before the pandemic struck, myself and my team went to Silicon Valley, and we went there to socialize the code with the big tech companies. So meetings with the chief executives across all of the big tech companies. And I can tell you that their designers, their engineers met with our engineers. And I think there's an ambition for the UK to see this happen to protect UK children, but there's also an interest by the big players. And it will come. We're spending the next 6 months continuing to educate and socialize, especially the large platforms, on how they can put the code into practice. But I think it's world-leading work. We consulted extensively with children's groups, with technology companies, with the gaming industry, with civil society, to try to get this right. And you're right, I'm very proud of the work of my office on this, and I want to see how it comes to life in practice. So we will be enforcing against the code in September.
Thank you. So according to the 2019 Ofcom report, a quarter of 10-year-olds who go online claim to have a social media account, 43% of 11-year-olds. And of course, these are claims, this is what they say, of course, we don't know for a fact. But these social media platforms typically have a minimum age of 13. Why should we have any faith in the ability of platforms to distinguish between children and adults in this way? And this concept of age assurance as opposed to age verification, how much confidence could we have in that technology?
The assurance is not the same as requiring a technical identity issue for the companies. So I think assuring that the companies are doing their best to be able to identify individuals that should not be on the platform is important. And as identity management and identity management tools progress, we would expect more from companies. But as you know, the state of development right now of identity management solutions is behind the curve. And we've seen that in response to other initiatives, other legislative initiatives. So we have to give companies the benefit of the doubt that when they throw their engineers and their designers at a task, they usually have the ability to make it happen. A lot of these big platforms already know a hell of a lot about who the users are, and they can use all kinds of algorithms.
To fire adverts at them, they certainly do. Yeah.
First. So what we're saying is,
but there can be a gap between ability and will, I think.
Well, hopefully the code gives them the will. So we know that if you throw engineers at a problem, and if it's the benefit of the company, they're going to find a solution. And what we've done with the code is incentivize the companies to do a better job to police who's on their platform at what age.
And if in a year or two's time, a quarter of 10-year-olds responding to the Ofcom survey that year, 43% of 11-year-olds responding, if they say they have a social media account and they name the social media accounts, the social media platforms they're using, what do you think is the appropriate sanction then on those social media companies?
And I think an investigation and a sanction that's appropriate for the extent of the breach. So as you know, we have a whole toolkit full of various sanctions, and we reserve fines and stop processing orders for the most serious of data breaches.
And you said a moment ago we should give the benefit of the doubt to companies when they throw their expertise and ability at these things. There's another one that says just give the benefit of the doubt to the kids. And I just wonder, given that partly because it seems to be very difficult to distinguish between children and adults, which bits of the age-appropriate design do you think would be inappropriate to apply for all users?
I think if the company doesn't follow the identity assurance requirement, I don't think any of the provisions of the code, any of the 15 standards are out of place for an adult user. I just think the choice for an adult is really important.
But you're not suggesting taking away choice, are you, even for the children's code? This is all about defaults and what should be the settings when you come into the platform. So I mean, is there anything in the age appropriate design code for children that you think shouldn't also apply for the full population?
I suppose just the first standard, which is the duty to have regard to the UN Convention. But other than that, no. And I think a lot of adults would appreciate defaults that are privacy by design, location turned off until an adult decides to turn it on. So I think these are respectful defaults. But again, I think the UK, the Parliament and government decided that we would focus on children, and that's what we've delivered in the code.